Hi, second grade, it's Mrs. Lane. Today we're going to talk about time using quarter hour and half hour. Our question that we're going to answer is, how can the hands help us tell time? Let's review the clock. You know that the hour hand is the short hand. Let's put this one at the 8. The minute hand is the long hand. We'll put the long hand pointing at the 12. Anytime that you have a clock with the minute hand pointing at the 12, it's an O clock. So the time on this clock is 8 o'clock. Let's take a minute to think about the patterns on the clock. There are 12 hours on the clock, represented by the numbers around the outside of the clock, starting at the 1, going around the clock, and ending at the 12. Also, when we count the minutes, we count by 5s to determine the minute on the clock. Right now, this clock is pointing to the hour 8, and if we count by 5s, starting at the 1 to where the minute hand is pointing, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, we know that the time is 8:25. But have you ever heard someone say that the time is 8:30, or 7:45, or 8:15? What do you think this might mean? Well, if we consider that the clock is a circle and we divide the circle in half, we now have 2 parts of our circle. If we have a time then where the minute hand is pointing at that halfway mark, the 6, then we are at halfway past the hour. So this time here would normally be 2:30. We can also say that it is 2:30. The same is true if we divide the circle again. If we divide the circle in half again, now we have 4 equal parts, or what we call quarters. If we have a time where the minute hand is pointing to the 3, we're now at the quarter mark, and we can say that the time is 2:15, or 2:15. If we have the minute hand pointing at the 9, normally we would say this time is 2:45, but we can also say that it is 3 o'clock, because we just have a quarter of the way to go around our circle until the next hour. Here's another example of half past. What time is this clock showing? If you are saying 8:30, you'd be correct, but we can also say that it is 8:30. Why? Well, that's because it is halfway past the hour of 8 o'clock. What time is this clock showing? If you said 4:15, you are correct, but we can also say that it is 4:15. Why? Well, that's because the minute hand is pointing at a quarter of the way past the hour, 4:15. What time is this clock showing? If you're thinking 6:45, you are correct. But we can also say that it is 6:45. Why is that? Well, we can see that this minute hand has a quarter of the way to go around the circle until the next hour. If the current hour is 6:45, then it's going to be going to 7 for the next hour. So it's a quarter until 7 o'clock or a quarter to 7. We will continue to practice half past, quarter to, and quarter after times. But can you answer our question? How can the hands help us tell time? Today we learned that we can count by fives for the minutes on the clock. We learned that 30 minutes is half past the hour. We learned that 15 minutes is a quarter past the hour. And 45 minutes is a quarter to the next hour. Thanks for listening, and now you should know how the hands help us tell time.